finally is to personalize Social Security. I really believe that money should go to IRAs instead of to the IRS. The challenge we have with our retirement system, not only financially, that it doesn't have the ability to really take care of all of its obligations over the year, but it's also ownership of government. You don't really own it. It's a tax. The Supreme Court has ruled twice that Social Security is simply a tax. So that means the Congress can change it at any time. You can't transfer it to your heirs, and you get a lousy rate of return. So the best thing we can do is start moving our youth from that government controlled system of retirement into where they actually have a stake in America, that they own their life and they own their wealth, and they can transfer it to their next generation. I believe if you own Wall Street, you won't burn down Wall Street. If you're part of capitalism, you love capitalism. So those are the things I need to do. And I'm just not sure I can do them from the inside, my brother. So it's
Yeah.
better for me to keep working on them on the outside.
I hear that. And again, I've had the good fortune, over my life to meet with a lot of special people and spend some time with them. And that's one consistent thing. I see them, that they're clear about their mission. They're like you. I'm clear about my mission. I'm clear about why God has put me here and what he's called me to do. I got a couple of quick questions before we leave here. And let me say this is Book Talk with Corbin. I'm here with Star Parker. Please check out my other two interviews with her at booktalkwithcorbin.com. You had mentioned about education here in Louisville and really all throughout the country.
Yeah, you froze up. I'm not sure. Can you hear me?
Oh, yes, I can.
Okay. Yeah, I couldn't hear if you asked another question. Go ahead.
Here in Louisville, really all throughout the Commonwealth of Kentucky, we have an organization that's taken a lead, No Left Turn in education, and battling critical race theory. And one thing that's come up, and I just want to get your response, is that how these teachers feel it's almost as if their mission or obligation or job it is to turn students into agents of social change. That was actually said in some documents. It was written in some documents, turning them into agents of social change. And we've even had reports where some students were asked, what is your preferred pronoun? Now, we're talking about elementary age students. Can you give us a little some of your response to that?
I am so thankful that critical race theory is now being discussed on a national level after a year of COVID, when parents saw all of what their children are being taught in a government-funded, union-controlled environment. Because now parents have no excuse to turn their children over to a secular state and expect different outcomes, expect consistency with their values. The government's interest should not be in educating our children. It should protect our interests, not plunder our interests. So yes, they've stepped it up a notch in their secular environments of indoctrination of students that they've been doing for quite some time. And suburban parents are now looking at why we have been fighting from the urban situations for money to follow children to schools parents want, in terms of vouchers, in terms of tax credits, in terms of scholarship, or any and every opportunity to leave the school. So I'm very thankful that now the suburbanites are concerned so that maybe we can get full school choice. It's not an accident that those Blaine amendments have been state law in state constitutions forever, and it's been a legal barrier for money to follow children to schools parents want for the last 100 years, since we tried this experiment of throwing all kids into government-funded, union-controlled school environments. The experiment didn't work, and it will never work. While they're stuck on critical race theory, which is fine if that's what you prefer not for your children to learn, more important to me is the difference in the worldview and values. You now have a sacred environment where people who believe in God being forced to send their children to the same school in an environment of secular. These two worldviews will never work. The Bible's very clear that two cannot walk together unless they're agreed. And you can't then expect for there to be a different outcome in a secular environment for a parent who's saying, but I really want to protect what my child is learning. I think it is an affront to American history that now the critical race theorists, the Marxists, are making their voices so vocal, but this is not new. Even what we're hearing through their 1619 project, this is not new. Communism didn't show up yesterday. The fight against Christianity didn't start in our lifetime or generation. But what we're dealing with now in the spoiled generation of America is seeing the result of leaving the cancer to grow and fester. And now we see that it's not only in our urban core, it is all throughout education, government funded, union controlled education apparatus. So the question on the table for those teachers is, why are they there? Maybe it's time for money to follow children to schools parents want, and for those teachers to start developing schools, for the private sector to start developing schools. So there's not an alternative situation, but it is a competitive situation. And that's what makes America beautiful. That's the beauty of capitalism. When you compete, when you have competition, it makes the product better for all. So yes, I think that while it's dark, it's the best of times and the worst of times. But I tell you, anytime you have a crisis, you have an opportunity to change things. So yes, there's a crisis in front of us with critical race theories, but this is a great time for us to change things. We had a wonderful decision at the Supreme Court last year during COVID at the Espinosa decision, where they found that it is not unconstitutional for money to go even to religious schools. So we have no excuse not to get up on out of this government experiment and start saving our children.
Wow. Folks, I'm going to have to conclude the interview here. As usual, Sister Star Parker is really, she's throwing it down for us to give a lot to discuss and think about and to pray about. Sister, thank you so much for being with us today.
Well, you're welcome. You're welcome. And we talked a lot about my columns. So people want to get my columns, they can go to curepolicy.org. You can find it just by looking up Star Parker and just sign up. We'll even put it in your email box once a week. We don't overwhelm anyone. We send one email a week. So, and in that, you'll get my show, you'll get my column, you'll get a few other things that we do. But it's curepolicy.org or urbancure.org or Star Parker.
Okay. And if we go to one of those websites, we can sign up and you say receive articles, newsletters, etc.
Well, once a week, you'll get an email from us. Yeah, it's actually just one place. They're all going to just go to the same place because people say, wait, what did she say again? It's Cure Policy, or some people call us Urban Cure, or just look up Star Parker. And it's all going to go to curepolicy.org. That's the work that we do here in Washington. And yes, if you sign up, you'll get an email once a week that will have my weekly show in it. It'll have my weekly column in it and a lot of other little goodies. Might even have what we just did an interview in it because we take this and put it on our blackcommunitynews.com so that we can get out the message even stronger.
Amen. Thank you so much, sis. I will
You're welcome. Okay, let's do it again. God bless you. Thank you for having me on.